Hi, welcome to the Stark Museum of Art, one of the nation's most significant collections of American Western art. The museum was founded by Nelda C. Stark as part of the Stark Foundation. Their mission is to enrich the community through education and the arts. It takes a diverse team of professionals to maintain the collection and host programs at the Stark Museum. In the Smart Job series, we will be interviewing museum staff to learn about what they do and how potential careers can be found at the museum. My name's Rachel, and I'm an SMA Art Education Scholar. Follow along as I meet the staff and learn all about careers in the museum. Hi, welcome to the Stark Museum of Art. I am here in Gallery 2 with a very special guest. This is Kelly, and Kelly is an art conservator here at the museum. So Kelly, would you like to tell us what you're doing here at the museum and just introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Kelly Ciociola, and I'm an art conservator. I work on objects and architecture, and I've been invited here to work on 2 of the outdoor sculptures, both bronzes, at the museum.
Okay, very cool. So Kelly, just for the viewers, you don't work here at the museum usually. You're a traveling conservator, is that correct?
Correct. So I have a private practice. I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and I work for myself and travel around to different museums. I work with contractors. I work with universities, basically anybody who has art or architecture that they need fixed up.
Wow. Okay. So how did you get into conservation? Can you tell me a little bit just about yourself and your background?
Yeah, so I grew up around art. My dad's an artist, so I knew I wanted to do something artistic in the world, and I had the opportunity to do an internship one summer in college, and I just kind of fell in love with it, and really started pursuing it after that. So I really liked how tangible it was, and how it was still in the art world, but I got to work on things.
Very cool. So what does like an art conservator do, like in general? Like what do you do?
So we fix up art, and in my case architecture as well, and this can be from either damage that occurs from an incident, or just the ravages of time. So deterioration over time, it is a big factor.
Yeah, and so certain materials, I'm sure, deteriorate more than others.
Yeah, but I mean, everything deteriorates over time. So, it's a little bit of everything.
So can you tell me, like, what kind of education do you have in case anybody's interested in kind of doing the same sort of job that you have?
Yeah, so my training is as an architectural conservator, and then there are fine arts conservators as well. So there's different specialties for conservation. I worked with an objects conservator for a long time down in Miami as part of my career, and so I received training in objects, particularly where architectural materials overlap. Okay. So things like bronzes, marble, things that you would see in architecture as well. Okay. So my degree is a Master's of Science in Historic Preservation, and there are also a fine arts conservation degrees that you can get from universities as well. So typically, to be an art conservator, it would be a 2 or 3 year degree.
Okay. Well, what kind of other specialized skills does an art conservator need?
So conservation is a fun mix of chemistry and art. So having artistic hand skills is a big benefit, but also having a working knowledge of chemistry is important, and then a little dash of history in there as well, which again is what really appealed to me. I was an art history undergrad major, so and took some chemistry classes in undergrad as well, because I fell in love with this and decided that I wanted to pursue it more. So I started planning ahead.
Now, I have heard of art restoration. Can you tell us a bit about like what the difference is between art restoration and art conservation?
Sure. So art conservation, conservation in general has certain tenets for the field, which mean that, and some of those are that you have to use as much of the original material as possible. You're not making things like new. You're using the original materials and stabilizing and working within the context of original intent and historical value. Typically your interventions need to be either reversible or retreatable in the future and down the line. So there's a lot of careful consideration that goes into conservation before you ever even touch the piece. Now, typically with art restoration, it's more of turning something into like new. A lot of times it's more functional objects. Original intent and history is not as much a part of the restoration of it as in conservation, where it's really the most important part.
What other kinds of things do you do as an art conservator? Like, tell me about kind of what your day-to-day experience with your job is. So, the day-to-day is really different every day, which is one of the things I love about it. While I'm here, I'm climbing scaffolding and working on these gorgeous bronze sculptures here. Next week I'll be doing stuff in the office and in my home lab. It's something different every day. So, when I'm not on site, I work on reports, proposals, documentation, things like that. Because that's all part of conservation as well, is documenting every step and having a record of what you're doing so that the next conservator or down the line, there's a record of what's been done to the object. Well, and one more thing just about your career in general, what kind of challenges do you face that maybe are unique to your job or that people might want to consider if they're looking into this as a job?
So particularly with the type of conservation that I do, there's a lot of travel involved because, like I said, you're working on big things and it's a lot easier to go to the thing than it is to move it. So there's a lot of travel involved, which is exciting at first, and then, after 15 years, it's maybe not as exciting anymore. So that's something to consider to make sure that you like that aspect of it. It's a very physical job. Again, particularly my specialty with the big monuments and sculptures and architecture. You're in lifts and scaffolding. There's heights. So if you're afraid of heights, it might not be for you. So
in some museums, they have a conservatory that's part of their museum, whereas here we've got you visiting us today.
Yes, a fair number of museums and libraries for book and paper. They'll have their own conservators on
that's
staff.
really cool. And that would be something for somebody who maybe wasn't as up to traveling a lot, right?
Yeah, so I actually did work as an institutional conservator for a museum down in Miami previously, and you take care of what's in the collection of that museum.
So to take it to kind of what you're doing here at the museum, you're restoring bronze sculptures. Why do they need to be restored? Tell me about that.
Conserving bronze sculptures.
Conserving, okay. Yeah.
So anything that's outdoors requires a level of maintenance, and that's just especially true in an environment like what you have here. It's very hot, it's very humid, you're pretty close to salt water, so all of those factors weigh physically on anything that's outdoors full-time. You wash and wax your car, you have to wash and wax your bronze sculptures as well.
Okay.
So that's all part of it.
So you're washing and waxing the bronze sculptures. So how does that affect how it looks?
Yeah, so again, this is where we get back to artist's intent and what is right for each sculpture. So in the case of Oblivion, you know, that bear is supposed to have a reddish brown patina to him. That's the artist's original intent. A good portion of the sculpture retained that. But at the top, where it received the most weathering from deferred maintenance, it had changed to green, which is not appropriate for that sculpture. So we've actually done some patina work on that to restore that color, and then we'll put the protective coatings on, which will help to retain that color, because that color is part of the piece. And then for Invocation, that sculpture is intended to weather naturally over time, so that green patina is part of the intent of the piece. But it is also in a very harsh environment, so it needs to have a protective coating. So we are removing active corrosion from the surface and then putting a protective coating on it. That'll give it, you know, a few years respite.
Thank you so much for sharing. Do you have anything else to add about maybe advice to anybody who's interested in just kind of starting out their career as an art conservator or looking into getting an education? Yeah,
I mean, hopefully it's come across that I love what I do, and just am thankful every day that I get to do it. And I would say that if it's a career path that you're interested in pursuing, you know, talk to some local conservators, find out what you're interested in, build up your hand skills, do some art things, different things too. You know, I tell people all the time, it's not just about painting, but if you're into, you know, crafting or beading or any of those hand skills, which really help you to sort of hone what you're doing, it's good. And talk to people, ask questions, be curious, visit museums. You know, all of those things are good ways to find out if it's right for you.
Well, I think that's some great advice. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking with us today. I think this has been some really great information for people who are interested. And for anybody watching, be sure to check out our other videos with staff at the museum here at the Stark Museum of Art. Thanks.